Education is one of the most affected sectors by the coronavirus pandemic. Schools in the Gambia remain closed since March when the first case of coronavirus was reported in the country. After 6 months of sitting at home, students are likely to return to the classroom soon, according to education authorities. But this is not clear how soon. Ibrahim Sonko tells us more.
The Gambia's Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, MOPSI, is in consultation with stakeholders including the Teachers Union on putting up tangible measures for the reopening of schools. The Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Adama Jumba Job, said he is hopeful schools will open soon, but the decision will ultimately involve a presidential directive as schools were closed by an executive order.
We cannot give you a date as we speak, and that is not my responsibility. If the date is agreed on, the Honorable Minister would handle. But also, as I alluded to, the close of schools was not a decision by MOPSI. It was from the presidency. Even if we have everything in place, we still need to get clearance from the presidency. And if that is also, that clearance has to be based on advice from the health personnel. They are the experts. They have to advise the presidency. Then the presidency, based on health advice or guidelines provided, now you can open school. But like I said, we are working on something that we will, and we are optimistic that schools will open very soon.
While education authorities are setting the ground for schools to reopen, they might suggest to the executive a compensation package to teachers where the school days are increased to cover for lost contact hours.
We are studying it, and it's going to be part of the recommendations or resolutions that we will be taking as a ministry to be forwarding to the ministry, to the presidency or to the executive, with all the costings, that if you want to make people work up to Saturday, this is what they need to be. Or the GTU is part of our stakeholders. They understand our problems. They are convinced. Then they take to their membership that this is not the normal thing. It's the new normal. We are still appealing to continue supporting MOPSI so that these Saturday classes would be used as a catch-up for some of the children who cannot come on the days.
Concerns have been raised as whether schools will be able to implement COVID-19 preventive measures as up to 50 students share a class in some schools. It will be difficult to observe COVID-19 guidelines and for students in populated schools to attend classes from Monday to Friday, according to Lamin A.K. Sanyang, the chairman of the Conference of Principals for Secondary Schools.
But what will not work is having schooling as it used to be, let's say from Monday to Friday, for everybody to come in. Maybe that might not be possible for well-populated schools. But for schools that are not populated, they can continue with the normal or the old norms. But the well-populated school have to go with a new norm, whereby you cannot come to school consecutively for 5 days. Maybe you'll come to school 3 days in the week or 3 days in the week. And the rest of the days, we are recommending we can bring in distant learning.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Secretary General of the Gambia's Teachers Union, Esa Sow, said the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has been advised to provide water and sanitary materials to all schools before they reopen schools.
Are not having, water in their campus.
Yeah, thank you. 3 days ago, I was here. Today is my 4th day. I've been here since on Monday. And on Monday, we have exhaustively discussed that, and all school or regional directors were instructed to provide a list of schools that have challenges of water and sanitation. So we are following up to that to ensure that water, which is paramount and key, is available in schools before we can open. Certainly, you cannot open a school without access to water.
In March, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education implemented a multifaceted strategies to ensure the continuity of learning on radio, television, and by distributing audiovisual materials to online media. However, even the most prevalent form of distant learning, such as radio or television, often do not reach the poorest or most remote students due to lack of TV or radio sets or poor mobile networks coverage. For iAfrica TV, I'm Ibrahim Sonko.
Students, after 6 months of sitting at home, are likely to return to their traditional way of learning.